All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order on last day of February at 2:02, the legally required statutory meeting prior to town meeting day. We have a few things, just not very much to do. It would be a lot shorter than your morning meeting. I don't know how many people were at that meeting, but thank you for doing that. You must be exhausted. Nick will start by reviewing procedures, but speak up, say your name.
Hold on, I'm echoing here. Hold on a second. Okay. Hi, everybody. Am I echoing? No. Okay. This is very weird. Okay.
Oh no, you disconnected.
Yeah, I don't know why I disconnected. Okay, I'll fix it when I finish talking
Yeah,
here.
they can still see you.
Recording in progress.
Really pissed me off.
Don't click that.
Turn the volume down.
No, it's not. It is down. It's there for some reason. It's echoing. Hold on a minute. Stand by here, folks. We're having some tech issues. Why am I echoing here? My sound is off. Is there a reason?
No. Shouldn't be echoing. Somebody's sound is on.
Okay, let's try it now. Okay. Can everybody hear me on the Zoom there? Hopefully. Trying to get you guys in as quickly as possible. Okay, I think I got y'all. Okay, so listen, we've gone through several of these. As you know, BCTV is here. So you will be recorded both potentially visually as well as audially. And then within a week, it'll be posted on the BCTV YouTube page, and I will also post a link directly to it on the web page. For those on Zoom, if you have a question, please use the raise hand icon, which is in the React portion of your toolbar, and wait to be called on, and you can unmute and have your say. Or if you want, you can type your question into the chat, and I will ask it. I will advise Molly that we have a chat question, and she'll call on me, and I will read your question for you. I just wanted to make one quick announcement. As most of you are aware, last summer, Green Mountain Power did their Resiliency thing on Ames Hill. They are going to be doing more work on various other roads. We will be holding a public hearing on April 11th, and in here, where Green Mountain Power will be here, and they'll be able to tell you what they're doing, when they're doing it. It's going to be mid-May through mid-September, and I have been very strong with them that they have to be very much more alive in terms of setting up detours and advising us of when work's going to be done and stuff like that. But I urge everybody to both come to that meeting if you want to have your say, and also urge your compatriots to come. It's full-blown town hearing, so that you guys can express your comments.
I checked.
A question?
Somebody
Yes,
on
sir?
Zoom is
Do you have
gonna-
any idea what roads the right people will come and?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what
Yes.
roads?
Moss Hollow Road, Hamilton Road, and
Lucier
Road.
Thank you.
they're not muted.
Can everybody on Zoom mute, please?
It's your computer somehow.
I'm muted. I don't understand what the hell's going on.
Because they're getting the thing and then it's coming back through theirs to yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Got it?
Yeah, I think we got it.
Okay. So it's the GMP people came to a select board meeting and told us a little bit about what they're planning to do, and it seemed like such a big job, and we had so much trouble on the Ames Hill that it's really, really important that we get the public together to express concerns. Moss Hollow, I don't know how they're going to do Moss Hollow without having to close it because it's so narrow. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to have to find out. Are they going to be able to get emergency vehicles through at all times? Will people have to go around? On Ames Hill, they said, "Oh, just take a detour," and nobody knew how to do it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could figure out how to get around. I know the roads pretty well. So I think we learned a lot last year. Andrew Richardson learned a lot last year in terms of
I'm recording. It'll show recording.
Oh, okay.
making sure that stay on top of them to make sure that they do what they said they were going to do, which if he hadn't done that, I think there would have been some more problems. So he's on top of it, and we haven't signed the permission yet because Andrew's away and he had a few more conditions that he wanted to put on it. But all the other towns, Halifax, Brattleboro, I think that's it, Halifax, they've already agreed to it. So please talk it up, because we don't want anybody getting any big surprises. I mean, even if you don't live on those roads. Okay, so here we go. Our job is to go over the warning, and there was just an issue that's come up recently about the articles that were not included on the warning. Two different groups of people got enough signatures to put these two articles on the warning, and the Selectboard declined to put them on. So there's some people that are upset with us. One was an article that would have automatically, interfered with the free speech of about 35% of the townspeople. It just didn't make any sense, and there wasn't any action. It wasn't actionable. There was nothing that the article would lead to some kind of action that would make a difference. Non-binding. The other one was, we might have made a mistake on that one because we didn't understand the person who put the article in didn't explain that this was a coalition. This was an article that was a coalition of many other towns. So if that person had come to us and explained instead of just handing it in, we probably would have included it, because we didn't know that it was a group, statewide action. So that's a shame. We learned from it. I'd like to apologize to the townspeople for that. It has to do with getting a certain act out of committee.
H433.
H433 out of committee, and get people working towards improvements in our health care, leading eventually towards universal health. So what we suggested to the people is get down with Emily Long and Nadir Hashim, and go direct to legislature so that we can help move that forward, because it's a very good cause. But generally speaking, Forrest looked up some laws on this. This warning is really for the running of the town. Budgets, people getting elected, like really the nuts and bolts of running the town. Things that are used to be able to be discussed at town meeting aren't really appropriate for the warning. So that's why we've gone to so much trouble to make these informational meetings so that we could have a discussion about things, a civil face-to-face discussion, which it's hard for people on Zoom to participate in a discussion. And I would recommend that anybody who's on Zoom, if you could possibly come to a meeting in person, would probably lead to more democratic exchanges, okay? In fact, next year if we do these, I'm gonna suggest that we all sit in a circle so that we'll be seeing each other and not just looking at us, okay? To make it a little bit more,
participatory.
Yeah, like more encouraging for people to participate. What?
A talking stick.
Yeah, we'll have a talking stick, whatever. It's my years of teaching school, you know, I always want to have people in a circle and, you know, little breakout working groups and stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
May I speak?
Yes,
for a
Forrest.
second? Yeah, I just want to speak for a second. I'm the town clerk, so I receive petitions as they come in from voters. And again, one of these petitions that came in had to do with the Trump administration. And again, the validity of the person's opinion about that is absolutely good. However, we are working in a really small place. Some people have differing opinions, and the town government, it puts us in an incredibly awkward position to be answering political questions. We're supposed to have fairness and balance no matter where you are on the political spectrum, and it forces us in a really difficult way to make a difficult decision having to do with different people's opinions. The other reason that I think the thing that's changed, and many people will feel like this is an abrupt change, is that at the state, in the Vermont Supreme Court, there was recently a case having to do with the South Burlington high school. The South Burlington High School, I may not be perfect on my reading of this the other day, but the South Burlington High School mascot was the Rebels, okay? And the school council, or the school board had voted to change the name because of how loaded that term is. And so a voter-backed petition showed up on the town meeting warning to reinstitute the Rebels. So imagine the kind of friction that creates in the community based on ideology. So the reaction from the Secretary of State has been to put more boldly that town select boards, town governments have the right to say, this article is too inflammatory for us to continue, and it breaks trust across the political spectrum, which is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring everyone into the fold to understand why you're paying so much taxes. Okay, so that's a change at the state level. The Secretary of State, I can send you the links. The VLCT has the same position. So they're backing the towns in a time of, granted, we're all experiencing this. It's an uncomfortable time we're living in, very difficult. So I'm gonna say also that how we treat each other is really important. And I think that in the future, the select board had learned a lot from this experience. I thank you guys for taking the shots that you take in serving your town.
Thank you, Forrest. Anyone want to jump in on that conversation? No? Yes. Andy.
Hi, I'm Andy Reichman, up at 40. I am here representing the auditors today, your town auditors. Normally the auditors put together the town report and collate all the reports and all the information, put it together, package it, send it off to the publisher. This year, Rebecca volunteered of her own volition to put together the report and submit it to the publisher. So she took on a lot of extra work and saved you money on your auditors. And the auditors would like to thank her personally for doing that. And I would suggest a round of applause for
Good-looking town report, Rebecca. So what else have we done lately that we haven't already talked about?
We're just trying to keep our heads above water.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with things that are going on, working on some of the policies and stuff in town.
Oh yeah, road. We're on road. We're trying to go over the road policy that we adopted from another town. And after using it for a year or so, we realized it's not appropriate for our size town. So we're going through that about, regulations on how to maintain the roads, whether you want to put in a new road, whether you want to add a road that's a private road, decommissioning roads to third class. Is it class?
Third class.
Fourth class, those kinds of things. We've been talking a lot about roads, and we'll be doing some hearings on that too to see what people feel is appropriate in terms of any kind of changes on the roads. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the zoning situation. We hired a woman, who was really looked good, really looked good on paper, and really good skills. But after a few months, I went around interviewing town employees and residents, and it was 100%, not positive in terms of the way this person worked with the public. So unfortunately, we had to say that it wasn't working, and what would you call it?
She resigned.
Oh yes, we talked about it, and she decided that she didn't want to change her behavior, so she resigned, which left us without a zoning administrator. So as my sister said to me, she said, "Oh, you pulled a Welch, didn't you? You're the only one in the world who can do anything that needs to be done." So now I am the acting interim zoning administrator.
Thanks, Molly.
So, if anybody knows anything about it, please come and talk to me. I'm getting a lot of help from Nick and
Forrest and
Forrest.
the WRC, but I just wanted to say, first of all, it's a huge task that Molly's taken on, and I applaud her for doing that. And the Planning Commission is putting together a job description, help wanted ad. It'll be posted to Facebook and Front Porch Forum and stuff like that. So if, talk it up with your friends and stuff. If anyone has some knowledge in that area and wants to, it's basically, it's 20 hours a week during a busy period, unless, during the winter, it all depends. We're a small town, so it's not like we've got 93 business
I think we had 35 permits last year.
Yeah, so it's not a full-time job, but we're looking. So, and I'll be coordinating that with the Planning Commission.
Okay, so that's big news for me. All right, so Forrest, anything to add that you can think of? Okay, so we've been chugging along, giving people liquor licenses and whatnot, working up to the election day. All right, so
Bourbon.
I think the Nick made these copies of the warning. And there's also a copy in the town report. Does anyone need?
Yeah, it's
need
page
a copy?
7 on the town report, I believe.
Anybody need me to hand you a copy? Copies?
Oh, page 4, whatever. It's the 7th page if you're looking at the whole thing, but it's page 4. Yeah.
All the numbers in the bottom, it's the word bottom.
Share it. Anybody?
Yeah, and these are sample ballots just because I didn't have a warning to print out, so I apologize if it's.
Hello. There's a sign up place here, and there's some materials. I'm just about to go through this round. All right, so we just go through one at a time. Is that what we do?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, wait, so people get settled.
Yeah, I've got a question here.
Okay.
A couple of questions already. Peggy, do you want to verbalize your question, or you want me to read it? Peggy?
I'm just trying to, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So one comment, and I know someone responded to me, was I love the idea of in-face, but there's times like today where I can't be in person, so I hope Zoom is always an option.
Yes, it always will be an option.
And then the second thing is my phone number is incorrect as animal control officer in the town report. It's correct on the town website, but I don't want people to be calling my old phone number because they will get nothing.
Okay. Got that for us?
Sometimes nothing's a real thing.
Yeah, we had a cow loose the other day
Oh, no, really?
when I was the acting animal control officer.
Welch again. Oh,
Pulling a
no.
Welch. Okay, anything else?
Everything else, we're just waiting to go through the articles,
Okay.
because there is a question on Article 3 already.
Okay, so Article 1 is to elect all town officers required by law to be elected at the annual town meeting. We have select board member running for a second term. Woo! Jeff Sramstead.
Yay.
For town clerk, we have Forrest. We're running for another 3-year term.
Thank you.
Lister, we have Eric Matt running for another 3-year term. Rose Watson is running for another 3-year term for auditor. We have Sally White running for cemetery commissioner, a 3-year term. Is this the first time there's been a commissioner?
Last year we voted, the way Vermont law works is when you're starting a board, they're 3-year terms by law, but you have to start with one member on a 1-year term, another on a 2-year term, another on a 3-year term, and then the first one after 1 year, the first one is elected to a 3-year term, and then next year Hollis, Burbank, Hammerlin, should she run, then we'd all be on side with the 3-year terms.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It kind of makes sense. Okay, so that's Article 1. Those are all the people up for election. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to set October 23rd, 2026 to pay 70% of property taxes, and March 19th, 2027 to pay the remaining 30% of property taxes, as the 2 installment due dates for 2026 property taxes payable to Town of Marlboro Treasurer. I'm not sure how this is going to work, but it helps with cash flow, I've been told.
Everybody.
Comments?
Everybody's got tax flow, cash flow.
Yeah, it does. It's a little bit of a relief not to have to come up with that much money all at once.
I have a question.
Yes,
Nancy Tognan. I thought that the idea of having the 2 payments was to get more money earlier, and this looks like it's going to get some of it later.
right. Rebecca, can you speak to that?
It's the first year. Every year afterwards, there'll be 2 in that same year. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
in
it's
the
just
same
the first year.
calendar year, okay.
Right, so we'll have March next year and October next year. They're separate year payments, but there'll be 2 payments within 1 year. It just happens to be the first year, it's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question? Not really? I don't
I'm not
understand
sure.
it myself.
Okay.
All right. So we'll be watching what happens. We'll keep you posted. The idea is to get money, but then we don't spend it all. So then we have to borrow money. So if we know we have 30% more coming, that would be the money that we wouldn't have to borrow. We'll have to be much more prudent about spending in the first part. But I think that's part of the deal, right? So the whole idea is to try not to have to borrow money for long periods of time. That's what we're trying to do. Putting some money aside in interest-bearing places, and just like finding anyway, all the people in town office are just like any place you can just cut down on interest payments, okay? All right, here we go. Article 3. To see if the town will vote to set a penalty of 1% per month on unpaid property tax from the first installment due date each year until paid in full. Meaning,
There was a question
Yeah.
about needing an explanation there.
Forrest?
Sure. I think there may be other town officers present who will be able to answer this better than me. The idea is this: state law requires towns to collect interest on unpaid taxes. There is something in place for when taxes are, in a single day deadline. Right away, 9% interest is added by state law. Okay. And in this case, when we go to 2 payments, that 9% doesn't hit until March, when the second payment is due, when the balance is due. In the interim between October and March, 1% interest on unpaid taxes. We did some calculations, and that 1% is not a tremendous amount of money, and it's not something that we love, but someone has to do the paperwork, send the letters out regularly to stay on top of the unpaid taxes. So this gives us mechanism between October and March to have some way of exerting influence on people to pay their taxes. Does that make sense? Marcia?
Can a person pay all their taxes at once?
Of course.
Okay, so you can avoid that 1%.
Absolutely. We're trying to, the town government is trying to change how this is done to spread the income over time and to spread the payment for the taxpayer over time, over a broader area. Anyone who chooses to pay in full, we'll take it tomorrow. You know what I mean? We're always in the hole. So anyone that wants to go with that one payment still is by all means. That make sense?
Okay,
Peggy, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question, I may not be with the 1%, but when I looked at the town report and there's people who owe $52,000 in back taxes, and what's being done to collect those taxes, and why do they keep being able to have such huge balances?
Evan?
Hey, Evan.
Evan?
What's that?
Do you mind answering the question, please?
I didn't hear it. I was talking.
It's okay.
Peggy, repeat your question, please.
I can take it
Okay.
Yeah.
just because the question is just about looking at the delinquent tax report in the town report. And her question is if someone's owing as much as $50,000 in back taxes, what's happening with them? You want me to go for it?
Depends on the individual. Most of the people I've spoken to know their situation and we're working on it. The ones that are, once tax season is over in April, the end of April and the 1st of May I will be working with the town attorney to start the tax sales or start the process of sending the very first official letter that the people know that now it's in the attorney's hands on the ones that, actually on all the estates. We have like 3 estates where the people have deceased and we have to, not sure what we have to do with them. Some of the people they know they're in a bad situation. They're talking about selling, whether they will or not, I don't know. But they will be getting official letters once the town meeting's over, tax season's over, and things have settled down a little bit. That's the plan. They're all going to get letters from the attorney, and hopefully that will shock some of them or scare some of them.
Forrest?
Or Carolyn.
Oh, all right, Rebecca had her hand up before.
I just wanted to add that 1% to that first payment. There does need to be a little bit of incentive there because the school needs about $1.5 million between December and February. So a lot of their chunk is during that time, which is why we kind of made it the 70%. So the 1% is a little bit of incentive for people to try to pay their 70% on that first payment.
But you're not paying 1% on the 30% that wasn't due yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carolyn?
I just wanted to say, Ed, you've had great success in getting people to pay who were in arrears, correct?
Yes. I've been very shocked. I've been very shocked that I've had very little resistance other than, I shouldn't say that. I've had very negative, I have had nobody angry at me or nobody that I've talked to has been belligerent. Everyone understands the situation. They understand how the town got in the situation and that they're part of the problem. And I haven't had anybody who's, other than simply not paying the bill, they haven't been cooperative or don't understand why we're in this situation and where we're at and what we're trying to do. It's been amazing that people have been, I don't know, calm.
Forrest?
Yeah, I just want to add, I don't need to name names, but this is one of the situations we have. So it's a parcel of land. The owner has died. The town has to send a bill to someone, so we send it to the last address we have. They pretty much always come back to us. There is a living heir, and the living heir we contacted, it turns out he's not in his father's will. So the question of who's gonna do this, who's gonna make the first move here, is ambiguous until the town makes the step. And so it's in all the time I've been a town officer, I don't think we've done a single tax sale. So we're negligent, and negligent's too strong a word. We're behind on doing that. And many communities throughout the state struggle with the same thing. And it's really difficult to get certain folks to pay. And their circumstances, when you open the door and look in a little further, their circumstances can be pretty toe curling. So it's not as straightforward as you're a bad person because you haven't paid your taxes. They're real complicated situations. So if they make a payment, I'm not an expert in delinquent tax law. It's crazy. The legislature has been working on it for years, trying to codify, clean it up. It's extremely expensive and basically sides with the taxpayer. The broad strokes are that if they're making any kind of payments, you can't do tax sale.
Wow.
And if you, and again, I may be wrong about this, this is my understanding. The other piece of it is that once the town sends, as Evan was saying, sends the lawyer's letter saying, we're tax sailing on this, you have 1 year. If they start making payments, that time frame stops. So this is the way the law is. This is what we're working with. You can see why we haven't been like right at the gate trying to make this happen. But Evan has brought in like $400,000 in unpaid taxes so far.
That's what I wanted you to say.
Yeah.
Philip and Joan have a question. Our understanding from reading the statutes is that the town may charge up to 1% and 8% for interest and penalties, subject to the decision of the voters. Did the voters ever make that decision?
It's state law. It's in statute. The 1% plus the 8%. In law, the 8% is in the past is to pay the delinquent tax collector for their work. We've chosen not to do it that way, but to pay the delinquent tax collector an hourly rate because we don't know how long this is going to take. It's a complicated situation. So we follow state law regarding that 9%, Philip and Joan. So if the town voted on it, it would have been an incredibly long time ago. I haven't found it yet. We could, if you guys wanted to bring a petition to run that article again, we could do it. Maybe the town should do it. I'm not sure, but again, baseline is state law, which we follow.
Yes.
So I'm just curious about the 8% is the penalty, is that right? And so does that still exist, and how and when is it going to be applied?
So it's only applied if the voters decide to pass these two articles. The 9% doesn't begin until March 19th, 2027. Okay. On whatever's unpaid up to that point.
On the second payment.
And then the first payment, between the first payment and the second payment, is the 1% on unpaid of the first installment. I realize it's complicated. I think it'll make a lot more sense when you're like looking at the bill, and we're always there to answer questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Article 4. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $275,000. How would you say that properly?
$838,275
for the general fund, which is down, right, Rebecca? Down a little bit?
We were up a little bit because we're putting stuff in capital accounts.
Okay.
So we're putting some stuff away, so it's up a little bit.
And you did a great job showing us all the details on that last time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,106,230 for the town highway summer and winter maintenance, which also includes $50,000 that we may get back in a grant. So it could go down a little bit from there. We won't know though, so that's why we put the higher number in.
And that number is significantly down.
Yeah, this
From last
year.
highway down.
Highway budget is down from last year.
Yeah, which is incredible. He responded to some pretty serious pressure.
The whipping didn't hurt.
He's at Daytona Beach right now, watching a motocross race. Okay, so Article 6. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $42,000 to the Marlboro Volunteer Fire Company Incorporated to help defray operating expenses. Article 7. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $48,000 to the Marlboro Volunteer Fire Company, Inc. for protective wear, breathing apparatus, equipment, and firehouse upgrades.
I just want to add one thing on the fire department is Carol Ann, myself, the select board, we're getting a sump pump for that the select board approved that the fire department will keep, and so if someone's house needs to get some, and it's a good monster size, and
I just have to say the pumps that we have in the truck are not appropriate for sucking up mud out of the basin.
Right.
So there has to be a special kind of pump.
and it was a small, overall very a small
Those are
expense.
the labor, we're just asking for the town to have.
Yeah.
Well, that would be very helpful. Okay. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $21,525 to Rescue Inc. for their services. 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $7,000 to Deerfield Valley Rescue Inc. for similar services. 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,234 to Southeast Vermont Economic Development Strategies.
I will just say Meg Statloff from said it is on Zoom if anybody has any particular questions regarding that.
Anyone? Questions about CVEDs? Okay. Article 11.
Wait. Oh, we're going back to Article 3.
Okay.
From Peggy. Hold on, I gotta move you so I can read it. What does it mean if we vote no on the 1% for the penalty, the property tax stuff?
You don't have to pay your first installment if you don't want to.
Did everybody hear that?
You could wait till the last payment to pay it and not be late, so that there's no incentive to pay it. You're not late, you wouldn't be late until the last date, then you become delinquent the next day.
I guess I mean, what does it mean for the town if we vote no on that? I mean, is there a reason we should vote? I want to hear why we should vote yes versus no.
Well, I would say broadly that 1% is going to help the town pay for the administration of unpaid taxes. I mean, as I said, it's probably going to be extremely nominal amount of money. And Evan said that the reason is to encourage taxpayers to make that payment. If the voters decide not to do it, we won't levy the 1%.
Rebecca?
And we'd have to borrow to make any kind of, we'd have to borrow a lot more, depending on who didn't pay and stuff like that. So.
Yes?
My name is Bob. Article 3, is that going to be directed to just residents or non-residents also?
Every single one of the 700 tax bills that we send out.
Okay, so
No
I have a
matter who
comment
it is.
then. If it's considering if non-residents are going to be allowed to do it too, you don't see a problem coming up? Is the town going to deal with that? Non-residents in general have money. They can pay their bills. Nobody likes to pay taxes. But I think it's really a good idea for people that can't afford to pay their taxes, because the taxes are skyrocketing. And they're doing it everywhere. Not just here, everywhere. So if it's gonna be for non-residents also, I honestly believe you're gonna have problems with people taking advantage of it just because they don't wanna use their own money.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. I think
I know we gotta be fair to everybody.
well, it's the 1% unpaid on the first payment, right? You're talking about 3? Yeah. It is for every single tax bill that we send out. So any taxpayer can choose to pay it or not pay it, and we follow the law to get the money that the town is owed. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Money to pay your bills.
Yeah, but
They have money.
I mean, maybe, but we can't. For me, you can't say all non-residents are this way. Like that doesn't work for me personally. Like it's person by person, owner by owner. We'll see what happens.
And I do believe, Stephen,
Yeah, well, Bob, I think Bob raised a question, Rachel, I wanna know, what, right now, that if we, in ordinary times, if we hadn't had this proposal, we would pay all of our taxes be due on October 23rd for the subsequent year, right?
Right.
Okay, so I think my point is, well, you know, if you're sharp with your money and so forth, why, and you owe a heck of a lot, I mean, you pay a lot, why not keep that in the bank and earn some interest on it and the 30%, because you don't have to pay that till March. I think what he's projecting is, you know, there may be, every good idea has its possible positive and negative consequences. I think that's one that I'd like to hear, if there's been a projection of what you can do to live on the 70%, assuming it all comes in, you know, versus what we previously had, 100%.
The point is though that if a lot of people do it, they can afford it, we have to borrow the money to pay our bills. Where they get to keep their money until the following.
Yeah, that's why it strikes, so it cuts different ways with different people. Yeah, okay.
Jim?
Jim Herrick. So this is really interesting because this is coming in through a back door to a point I've been thinking about for a couple of years. Now, we voted on this issue last year, correct? That we would make this divisional split of 2 payments. So it's in place. My contention has always been, because this question came up a number of times over many years, that the taxes that the town charges come out of our pockets. So it's our money, it's not the town money. The town, as the one handling the money, has to pay the interest to borrow money if they don't have it in fund in the moment. So that's all clear. But in the end, it's all coming from us, the taxpayers. There is no other squishy place in there. My point has always been that what was just stated about someone not paying, putting the money in the CD, waiting until the second payment due, they can get 4% in a CD, they'll pay 1% in penalty. So that's interesting, but it illustrates the point that we all could actually make more money from our pockets where it comes if we looked ahead. If we have to pay 6 months early, we have to pay, plus as a penalty. We could each have taken that money, put it in a CD, thinking we had to spend it, put greater interest in our pocket, and then paid at the end. The town could borrow the money at a better rate than we can borrow money for, I believe. So it's always been interesting. That's not true?
Nope.
The municipalities can't get a better rate on it?
The only time I'd be able to get a better rate is if we borrowed from the Vermont Bond Bank. And we can actually do that because we haven't been third-party audited yet. So they would give us around 2%, but no, I'm getting anywhere from 4%, last year was 6%, 4%,
Right.
yeah. We're getting basically what everybody else is getting.
Okay. So the overall arching question is it really more money, or is it just whether it comes out of your pocket early and you borrow the money to pay the taxes, or whether the town actually saves more money than that by not having to borrow whatever the overage is that they have to borrow? And I've always questioned whether, with the cost of handling 2 payments, which has got to cost the town, I mean, doubling the amount of work to get payments in and processing payments, I've always just wondered if it really paid the town or us as the taxpayers in the end.
Any response, Rebecca?
Of course there's a response for me.
No, it could have been for us.
That's true. Now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Nancy?
You can go, Nancy.
Just a small point that 1% each month adds up to 12% for the year.
12%.
When you get a CD quote for 4%, that's an annual rate, so, and, you know, I don't think there's quite as much to worry about, at least for those of us who aren't really high-class investors.
Okay, so where were we?
I apologize for raising the issue. I think it's pretty ambiguous in the process.
It's very complicated.
I mean, we can't say how it's gonna turn out, so
No,
we try it.
we don't know.
Exactly.
Rebecca?
I remember.
The part of adding more work to the treasurer's office, it does, but we have streamlined so much and made things a lot easier that this year was a breeze. So it is gonna be kind of broken out a little bit more, but you're right, it's gonna add some more. but it wasn't overwhelming at all as I've experienced before. So we totally think we're gonna be able to handle it okay. But I will let you know in March.
I think as long as you guys are doing it and you don't hand it over to AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forrest?
One thing I'd like to just relate anecdotally, a number of other town clerks throughout the state talk about this two payments. And they, one town in particular has the second payment as we're proposing here right after town meeting. And the way to galvanize in the voters' mind that this action you do in March it's happening on a cycle, and you realize, wow, that like the town government's doing this all the time, rather than just this one flashpoint. Everyone's like trying to cram the money into the piggy bank. By spreading it out, I think it brings more awareness to people of this cycle that we're all in together. I thought it was an interesting point.
Becca?
I'm just gonna add to that. There's 6 different ways that people can pay their taxes. We have 13 people right now that are set up for the automatic payments every month. Automatically comes out of their account. We process it on our end so that so if people did more electronic, that makes it easier for us. If you're able to do the automatic withdrawals, that makes stuff easier. So just thinking through maybe how you pay your taxes might help a little bit more too.
Article 11.
Carolyn?
Just a little math, if you put $5,000 in a 6-month CD, it's getting 4%, that's the best one out there. But you have to pay the 1% penalty, so it's really only 3%. You make it $74.45. I don't know, is it worth the headache?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but.
Okay, Article 11. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $408 to support the Animal Resource Fund. I'm just pointing out that Peggy does it without pay. She takes that money and gives it to animal owners who can't afford to do vet care and whatnot. 12. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $5,000 to the Marlboro Meeting House to be applied to the operation and maintenance of the building in support of a variety of municipal and community programs held therein.
And that's stable.
Stable, yeah, same. 13. To see if the town will vote to appropriate and expend $5,000 to the Marlboro Community Center in support of its mission to create a welcoming environment which supports, nurtures, and enriches the Marlboro community through its programs. Hear, hear. Is that also stable? 14. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 to Windham County Natural Resources Conservation District in support of a greeter program to help prevent aquatic invasives at South Pond.
Hold on a sec. Just real quick, Peggy has a question. Go ahead, Peggy.
Yeah, so I have a couple things. One is going back to taxes, that the Marlboro Alliance has set up an emergency fund where people can apply for $200 a month per household, and that can be used for food or utilities or taxes, whatever they need to pay for. So, and we got a $10,000 anonymous donation to help support that. So just want everybody to be aware that there are monies to help people with taxes if they need it. And the other thing I just want to emphasize, because it just cracks me up every year, that there's always like 8 or 10 votes against supporting the Animal Control Officer Fund. And so I just want to be really clear that everybody needs to know that I don't take the stipend. I donate my stipend to Animal Resource Fund to help people with their, with their dogs, with vaccines, licenses, vet bills, etc. So I don't understand why people vote no on it, because it's not costing the taxpayers any more money. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Peggy.
Article 14.
The greeter program.
Yeah, is that to pay someone?
I think it's several people put in. I think it costs $5,000 to have somebody at the pond, and that last year we didn't give them any money, and this year we're giving them money.
Yeah, I mean, Philip's on there. Philip, would you mind unmuting and describing the process? Okay, I can just fill in a little bit. Basically, this is all about invasive.
Yep, got that part.
Oh, okay, and it's $1,000 is just part of it, and it's the amount that they felt comfortable asking the town for.
So the money's going to pay some, that's just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not very much, I don't think.
It's over at the, where the fishing thing.
Yeah. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 to support the mover, the regional public transportation provider. Is that less?
No, it's more. I'll say it's been $250 for the mover for many years, and they are definitely expanding their routes and such. And you know, they have a couple of routes come through here, and it's a free, it's free service. It's free bus service. So I think they're great.
Caroline?
So Carol Ann, South Road, sorry. FYI, the mover lost a ton of Department of Transportation money
Oh.
this year.
Oh. Of course they did. All right, let's see. 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $970 to support Southeast Vermont Community Action, Inc. for services. You may remember that we rotate these charity, benefits so that you have a chance to, every year you get a chance to vote on some of them singly, and then we bunch some of them so that it makes it easier to count the.
So we're not doing a 60-line
Yeah.
ballot.
So here we go, another singleton, Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 and $50 to healthcare and rehabilitation services of Southeastern Vermont for services. 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,780 for the following Marlboro regional organizations: Deerfield Valley Food Pantry, $500, Green Mountain RSVP and Volunteer Center, $230, Gathering Place for Adult Day Services, $500, Brattleboro Area Hospice, $250, Marlboro Cares, $1,800, Marlboro Library, $500, the Marlboro Mixer, $3,000.
1 second. Peggy, do you have another question?
Yeah, it's not another question, it's just a statement, and I'm not saying I don't want to support this, but the Marlboro Alliance also gives $1,000 to the Deerfield Valley Food Pantry, and we give $1,000 to Groundworks Collaborative. So just want that to be aware for people who may, I want to support all of it, but just want people to be aware.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on that list? Everyone familiar with those organizations?
I will note that you will notice if you look at last year's ballot warning, the visiting nurse service has gone away throughout the state. So they're not on here anymore.
That's too bad. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,700 for the following Marlboro regional organizations: Groundworks, $1,500, Youth Services, $1,000, Women's Freedom Center, $1,200, American Red Cross Green Mountain, $500, Senior Solutions, $400, Green Up Vermont, $100, and Grace Cottage Hospital, $1,000. And finally, Article 20, to see if the voters of the town will vote to authorize the town to borrow funds in anticipation of tax revenue, which we're trying to limit as much as possible. Yes?
So, I was curious on that point. So presumably the purpose in part of Article 2 is to prevent having to pay interest on money that the town has to borrow. So it has been determined that if you get 70% of the tax revenues, that will cover all the expenses that the town has up until the point that it has the second, gets the second bit of taxes.
Except, oh, Rebecca.
No, we wish that was the case. You'd have a very happy treasurer if that was the case. Basically, it's to limit it. Because we only get that money, like we're paying all the bills normally from January to October before we get the money. So having it twice a year will help, but it's not gonna do all of it.
Yeah.
Does that help answer?
Yeah, I mean,
Or-
I mean, whether, if you, in
Yeah.
part, and your response is in part, okay, yeah, okay, that'll do.
Okay.
I think
You
the
guys
idea.
can talk to me.
I think the idea is sometimes you've had to borrow an astronomical amount of money at a high rate of interest, and so Rebecca's been teaching us that the less we have to borrow, maybe cut a little closer. So sometimes it's a little uncomfortable, but the less we have to borrow, the better it is in the long run, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Evan.
I have a question for Rebecca. Is the 70% getting that first, does that have anything to do with the fact that we owe the school so much money and so that would?
It's mostly when they spend their money,
Yeah.
like they spend a big majority of it at that point in time.
Right.
So I wanted to absolutely make sure that they had all the money they had without them having to
So that's
borrow.
why 70-30 is because
Yeah.
we do have, the school portion is larger and is due earlier.
Yes.
So we get the 70 up front, so hopefully we can pay that and not have to borrow because of that, and then the other 30% we can run the town on.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So
Quick
that
note.
is.
Oh, sorry, to finish.
Oh, Annie.
I just will point out, in Article 19, youth services is no longer called youth services. I can't remember what?
Interaction.
It is now interaction, so just for next
Oh,
year's,
Okay.
it's interaction, not youth services.
Oh, okay, I'll make a note.
Yes, Marcia.
Do these organizations still send in a letter to request the funds?
Yes. Don't we publish those? No, we don't put them in the town report? Oh, okay. Are they on record somewhere? Okay. Are they on the website?
They're in my email.
Oh, in your email.
And also the auditors have them.
On the auditors, yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for your participation in this.
I have one thing
yeah.
to say, and Jim Herrick's got his hands up. He should go first.
Jim?
I just wanted to hark back for a minute because to my embarrassment, I was 5 minutes late. And I missed, Molly, some of what you were saying about, I think, what goes on to the warning.
Yeah, we can go over that again.
Okay, and then Forrest, you followed up a bit. So my take on that, just to keep it simple, is that because of the issue of disparity of politics and takes on what's going on in this country, you're trying to avoid bringing that into the room for the town officials that can't really stand on one side or the other. So my question, and this is something I've been reading about and pondering all my life, is what happened to German citizenry, such as we are, the base, the foundation of a country, during the period of time from the Reichstag fire, 1933, to 57 days later, when Hitler owned the country. And we're right now in a time where the template of the pattern of behavior in this country almost lays on top of that. So, what did German people, who were no different than we were, the civilians of a country, do in that time when they were relatively powerless, but it came step by step by step? And I feel that taking a position that we have no voice, the scythe will swing over our head, we duck so we don't get our heads cut off and we shut up. One of the reasons we pay as much in taxes as we do is we have to support systems that could be paid for with our income taxes. Those monies go elsewhere. You stated, I believe, something about the transportation department. We lost huge money this year because our governor chose not to irritate Donald Trump by joining a lawsuit. It was millions of dollars. So at what point do we stop acquiescing because of the personality issues? And I understand it's a very difficult position. Are we the good Germans of 1930s, or do we have a voice? And Marlboro, I think I am proud to be a Marlboro citizen, and we've always had a voice. And while I do believe there are things that could be avoided because they are very irritating the way they're worded in petitions, etc., I don't think we should just back down from having a voice. Thank you.
Good.
Stephen?
As you may recall, if you're old enough, I've been town moderator for a number of years. So we didn't have a town meeting anymore, but one of our town meetings did vote to impeach George W. Bush when he was in office. And we did not expect the select board to stick out their necks and arrest him, okay? That was not part of the deal. But at any rate, it's an example of how it can work. And I think those kinds of sentiments of public are important to continue, however we can manage it.
I have a suggestion about that. One of the reasons what we made this decision a few weeks ago was because we really want everybody in the town to feel that they are heard. Okay, so if you put a warning on, an article on that says, we disapprove of the current government, that automatically alienates the 30 or 35 people, 35% of our residents who didn't go ahead and put a petition on that said we're really happy with our current federal government. And we just didn't want to use this particular tool to split the town a little bit more. Now, the reason why we have done these info meetings, and like I said, I don't know if you were here when I said next year we're going to be sitting in a circle, or somehow to improve the chances of people having a discussion, not just you to me, to you to look. So it's for you, everybody. So the loss of town meeting is something that I have to deal with on a daily basis in my house, and we have gone to great lengths, and thank you for all being here on such a long day, but we've gone to great lengths to try to preserve debate and people having a voice. And little by little, people are coming. Like I said, it's hard for people on Zoom to get into a face-to-face discussion, but it's better than not having any information at all. So that's just in answer to the whole idea of people having a voice. The select board, twice a month, whatever, 2 hours, we're done, right? That's not how the select board has been running. We've been putting in a tremendous amount of extra time. And one of the things we've invested our time in is this, so that people could have debates, so people could bring their articles here. That was what we did, but we did it too early. The first meeting in September, people didn't have any ideas yet about what articles they wanted. So that's a lesson for us too. We need to have a discussion of what should be going on, aside from all the nuts and bolts things. But if those people had brought those articles to a discussion, then people would be enjoying the conversation. And maybe there would be other ways to pursue some of those political goals, which are, laudable, without it being, confused with our nuts and bolts running the government. So there's the ballot, and then there's the discussion. And so town meeting was discussion and some stuff on ballots, as I recall. The other thing is, people want town meeting again, get the article on and then campaign. It was 3-1. 3 times people voted against it, then voted for it. But if people go out there, just like you're doing in Pennsylvania and everything, to knock on doors and say, we really want to go back to town meeting. So that's what I suggest. I was always working. I never got to experience a town meeting because I was always working. But so those are like 2 things. Like getting articles on, you can't just, I think we've just learned, you can't just send it in. You have to come and explain it, tell us why, and then a different outcome might happen. Jim?
And I want to make it really clear, I'm not directing the program in any direction. I really respect what you guys do, and I fully understand the position. You're absolutely straight on with what you're saying. But what I do think is important is that we don't allow ourselves to somehow be embarrassed or pressured into acquiescence. Merrimack, New Hampshire, 30,000 people almost ended up with a concentration camp in their town. They got together, the government and the people, and they shut it down. They had to voice an opinion which was not 100% politically approved across the citizenship of the town. If they hadn't done that, they would have had their concentration camp. So I'm not saying things should be on the warning per se. I think these meetings are great, but I think we really need to not, I find it easy to become sort of embarrassed by peer pressure to shutting up. And I think we all are prone to that to some degree. And I think it's really critical to not have that become status quo.
Now, do you think that these meetings could eventually become a debate area?
I do. I think this is great. I wish there was more people here, and I wish we had more time to discuss these things, because pretty much everybody's already voted probably, or decided how they're going to vote on the articles on the warning. But these other things are huge, and they're existential beyond everything that's on this warning. And I think I know we can't change the world, but I think we need to have some kind of a commons voice that goes out to the world.
Yeah, and I think that if people were together and discussing it and debating, there might be some other actions that would come up, community actions going to the legislature, setting up things that are not just on the select board, but just doing public action, and with the support of the other people that have had a chance to discuss it. That is, the most important thing to me personally, that people get heard, everybody gets heard, and that we will be civil enough to be able to handle that. So thank you for your comment. Sir? I don't know your name.
How can we act on that thinking right now? What is our action right now that says our opinion of our government right now?
Well, I think that it's would be putting everybody in a circle and explaining what you think, and then some bright, organizer could come up with some way of communicating what we of Marlboro want to communicate to the people that have way more money and power than we do. I think it would have to be coming out of, what do they call that, ground work? Grassroots, so that just so you're right, there's nothing actionable that we can do right now. But the idea is to invest more time and energy, get more people together, and then find ways, aside from the warrant, to express it or lead to some kind of action.
She can wait.
Yes.
Linda, go ahead.
This is Linda Furman from Grant Road. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Fine.
So it's embarrassing to follow something that's so meaty and important from Jim and Stephen with something that might at first appear trivial. But before we adjourn, I do want to acknowledge our cameraman, Alex from BCTV. He covered the school board meetings this morning. And now he's covering this, and he told me that he now has to go down to Connecticut and cover yet another meeting. So please thank our BCTV person. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. But back, yep.
I'm not sure, this doesn't have anything to do with any of the articles, but in income, town income, this was our first year of having the 1% local sales tax. I'm just wondering, was that pretty seamless? It looks like we made $8,607. I mean, anything to say about that? It was new. Yeah, no, it was seamless because the state throws it right in our checking account. And then what's showing in the book was the first quarter, starting from July, August, September, but we just got the one from the last quarter of last year, and it's about 9,700. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a nice big chunk that's going to help us out.
Well, I would say as a business owner who has to, it's a breeze.
Say bye, Jeff.
It's very easy.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, it was really easy, and it's only 4 times a year, and so it worked beautifully.
Great.
Caroline.
I've been thinking about Carol Ann South Road, back to what you were saying, which I hadn't thought about it that way, so thank you. But I also hear what you're saying about wanting a good conversation and not wanting to insult anybody for the way they think and vote. But if it had been on there as an article or somewhere, maybe it's not on this document, but maybe as a town it is worth taking a vote to say, where do we stand on these various issues that affect us, like how much money goes into the Department of Transportation, or do we believe in vaccines or whatever? Pick a topic. Because we only really get to vote for the president. It's never granular, it's never topics, and then, you know, I don't believe in party politics, but that's what's happened over the years, and if you line yourself up one way, well, you really don't believe in everything they stand for. It really would be nice to vote on issues that we maybe don't have a say on, but if we did vote, the 70% would say one thing and 30% would say the other, so they have had a say. Those people who differ from the majority, they still would have their vote to say, no, I think everything's great in DC. Okay, that's what they want to say. So, but Woody's organization, Woody and Susan and the others who are involved in that Democratic organization, maybe there are other towns who would appreciate a totaling up of people's voices to say, I'm making this up, you know, 85% of the voters in Vermont, and there's some real, you know, details around what we believe and don't believe, and our legislators can take that to the federal government, and so that we do have a voice, so that we're not in that 57-day window in Germany that you described. So I just think that we are very conversational in this community. We do care about one another. We do like to come together and discuss meaty, important topics that maybe it would be worth having a special kind of forum for those kinds of issues.
Referendum might be the
referendum or
word,
something
yeah.
to you know, total it all up and give our legislators some concrete data on how voters are feeling about specific topics. Because we never get to vote as a nation on those specific topics. Okay, I've said enough.
So if you worded things in a balanced and egalitarian way on the articles, that would invite everybody on all sides to feel free to discuss. If it's one way, like the article that we didn't want to put on.
I didn't see the article, so I don't know.
It was very negative towards the president.
Okay.
So if we could maybe establish some kind of guideline about the wording and the phrasings that would engender conversations so that people didn't feel like they were outnumbered. That might be a really good thing. I don't know how Forrest would feel about it. I don't know who would be cutting the votes. But if we had a separate thing that was designed specifically to chart where we stand and also to make a stand, that might be really fun. Forrest.
I just have two quick things. One is many of you have been no doubt seeing in the Commons the discussion about town meeting in Brattleboro.
Yeah.
Okay, we're exactly the same as them. I've read much of this information and I find it fascinating because wrestling with the same issues, wrestling with the same perceptions of how government's supposed to work for the people, and it's impossible to be right. It's impossible to have the best solution and have the best solution, if you follow me. So it's all process. We need, as the town government, need your feedback in a way that's actionable. And as the town clerk, I will say in many voice vote town meetings that we've held in the past, there have been referendums such as these, if we want to use that word, discussions about topics well outside our power that are about opinions. The vote happens, the discussion happens, I welcome all of it. Being told as the town clerk, now I'm supposed to make an action to bring this to the larger world is not what I'm going to do. So the people who want to bring forward ideas about political actions should then be willing to take the results of the vote and go and use it meaningfully. But I was tasked one time, we came up with something having to do with energy. The end result was to ask me to write a letter to the governor to say that that's what we did. Well, that doesn't feel like a solution. That's not moving the needle. The governor's getting correspondence from towns all over. I'm just saying that, that's my perception as someone doing the work day in and day out. It's not a thing at the end. It's opinions, and that's valid. But the town government has boring stuff to do and taxes to collect, and that's the reality. So I welcome another organization that wants to do the same thing, and I can help you with elections and so forth to get public opinion together to be a strong voice. But pushing it through the town government, for me, is just not effective. And that's just my opinion.
Nick?
Some comments. Peggy said, I feel the comment that the wording was negative about the president was very prejudicial. The statement was open and people could choose to say yay or nay. Linda asked some clarifying question, and then Peggy said, I don't think the board member was being neutral, and Linda did say agreed.
Comments on that?
You don't know what it says.
It said, we disapprove of Donald Trump. That was the wording of the article.
That's it. Well, that's pretty simple.
What?
That's pretty simple and straightforward.
Sounds like we're beating the bush.
Yeah, it was a yes/no answer. Evan?
I just want to put my 2 cents in, and that is that it's all well and good, but it's not appropriate for a town to be on a town warning. It's that simple. It's not town business, and that's the bottom line. If you guys want to do anything else, great, absolutely. But it's not appropriate to be on warning.
And could you just explicate a bit on that? I don't quite-
It's not town business. It's not running the town. It's not financial. It's not running the town. It's not making decisions about roads, about taxes, about the school. It's not its opinion. It's people's opinion on political stuff.
So there's a ceiling with regard to how a citizenry views the overarching levels of hierarchy in the power system. And our ceiling is roads, school.
No, it's organizing, as we've been talking about, it's organizing and doing it, not by putting it on a warning, not the government, the town government saying this. It's the people. It needs to be a forum. It needs to be grassroots. It needs to be the people.
And so maybe I'm looking at this very simplistically, but I've always thought that this forum was the one format we had collectively as a people within a geographic entity to have a voice. We have legislators or our select board, we vote for them, as well as we vote for a governor or a president or anything else, but it's our voice, and I guess I never thought about a democracy as having a delineating ceiling for us in how we regard stuff like this. I mean, if it's in legislation, in VSA something, it would be interesting to read that. It's never been part of my education to understand that's how our democracy works. So you may be right, I just don't know.
Fine.
Well, I think the idea of having some kind of forum so that people can feel, can get some numbers on where people feel would be a really interesting thing to do. And I think that might be something that we could do, not through the town government, but through the town. You know, with help, organizational help to come up with topics, see if people could come, take some of the informational meeting that we do, take 1 hour and have it be what do we have on our minds and what do we want to do about it. I think that would be appropriate, and I think that would be really kind of fun. Rebecca?
I think everything you say is correct. I'm just like, if we did put an article on that and we got a vote from the town, where does it go from there? Like, what does that help us? Yeah, where does it go from there? I just don't know.
I don't think there is ever a determinate route to a transitional point. What I absolutely know is that politics are 100% driven by a sense of where the numbers are, what the statements are, how people feel. The reason that ICE finally left Minneapolis was because public opinion, people, us, were voicing a great perturbation about the folks being shot in the street, for example. If that hadn't happened, the ICE would still be there doing what they're doing. We do have a voice, and even though, and you know, what Forrest said is true, writing a letter, who that should be up to, I don't know, but the governor would pay attention if 57 towns collectively voted on a common agenda, and he heard that. His votes come from us. And if he's reading the politics, which is all that politicians do, he's going to use that as part of whether next time he decides to get on board with a a lawsuit and we get our money. So I really think that we can't underestimate our power by speaking out. I think that's what it's all about.
Okay. I was just wondering where it went.
We got someone here, we got Lynn, and we got Forrest.
Peggy added, it makes a statement if we, as a town, say we disagree with what is happening, not speaking is being complicit.
Exactly.
Lynn?
And what you're saying is great, but it's that in Minneapolis, that was grassroots. It wasn't taken care of at a town meeting for the budget and pushing those things through. That was all grassroots and people coming together as a community. I think that's, as a town, that's the direction. It's like what Forrest said, it's not something that's going to be solved when we're trying to decide what the budget is for the roads and the school and all of those things. It needs to be a grassroots, community pushed event where everyone comes together for the good of that.
But in the end, in Minneapolis, the mayor stood up because of his constituency doing what they were doing, what you just described, and he spoke back to the seat of power. It
Right.
went to the top of their hierarchy, and the voice went out to the federal government. It had to go through channels.
We don't have a mayor here.
We have a governor in the state.
Right, so you take your grassroots and you go to the
town
governor.
needs to speak collectively if it wishes or votes to. I call the governor's office all the time. I write letters all the time. I think it all helps. But I don't have the power of the town. And the town voting on an agenda item and the governor, let's just use that as the exemplification of our power structure, that matters. All the way up through, it matters. If it doesn't matter, then you can say that politics are run on laudable altruistic motives, which they are not. They're run on understanding power. We are the power. We are the voice. And if we don't use it, then yes, there is nothing. We are complicit.
So yeah, form like what Molly was saying, form a community committee and make it happen and do these things. That's the place to make it happen.
And we're all
taking
doing
it to the governor.
Understood. And we're all doing bits and pieces of that. This is our commons. The town meeting or these meetings brought by our legislative group and our town clerk, that is our commons, where we all can stand and have a voice. Otherwise, it is polarized groups, which is great. We're all doing things in a polarized manner. This is our one arena, the venue that everybody can come, everybody can speak, everybody has a vote and a voice. I think that's what democracy is all about.
But I don't believe that topic is meant to be on a ballot.
Well, that's an opinion, I
But
understand.
right, and so we all have that opinion, and so it's good to discuss.
Yeah.
But defining what this town report is and what this budget is about, defining what the purpose of that is, it's like what Forrest said.
Just to boil it down simplistically, my opinion, it's just my opinion, is that this is as critical as me getting up and going to work in the morning, figuring out my budget, buying my groceries, paying my taxes, all those things. But if the entire system from the top crashes because I've ignored it, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. We aren't in existence anymore. So it's a very difficult thing for us humans to not get locked into narrow little bands of experiential understanding that we just duck our heads, do our jobs, shut up about everything. And I think we're in a time where we need to break through that barrier. And I think we do have the capability, the intelligence, and the will to do it if we care.
Just from Peggy Tiffany again, I would like to hear what other people think. We are only hearing two people talk. Personally, I agree with Jimmy. Please open the discussion to others. When we ask, what do others think, we open the discussion. So what do others think?
How do we get more people involved?
Well, so.
This is the first town meeting I've ever been to for here in town. I believe he's right, but what's happening is, it's happening everywhere. Every single town all over the country. It's not just here. So we need more people to get involved. The money's being taken away and we're still paying it in. I went to both meetings for the school and they were very, very not like this. They were vague. Some of the information was accurate, but it wasn't total. And questions people asked were not answered. And here we are, that's the biggest problem the town is having. We've had our money taken away, like everybody else, which you're absolutely right. How do we get more people involved? Like I said, my property's been here since 1985. This is the first town meeting I've been to. I'm glad I came.
Me too.
Thanks for coming, Bob.
Thanks for coming.
Carolyn?
It's like everybody needs to answer and everybody needs to talk about it. But what's happening is it's being taken away. I was self-employed for over 40 years. I'm part of what he says. Some of my stuff's been taken away. I can't be in business anymore because of the same guy taking away our money. So that's political and it's happening here. It's not just happening to me. Like at the town, in March of 2024, Medicaid was being taken away. One of the questions asked at the school meeting was, well, what about health care? And the woman said, no, that's off the table. Then she said, we can do whatever we want. Well, if we can do whatever we want, we can fire them and send everybody, all the kids to a private school for a lot less money than they're charging us. That's pretty arrogant for me to say that, but I come from Connecticut. These town meetings don't exist there. But I like it. People need to talk. Everybody needs to communicate.
Well, you certainly make me feel better about all the work we've put in on getting people in. And I think if we keep with it, and if we really establish it as a forum, we have certain nuts and bolts things that we need to do, but they don't take very long. And we could just open it up. Maybe people would prepare some things that need to be discussed. And I think it looks great from my position. Carolyn?
So I don't want to speak for Woody's organization. I only went to a couple of his meetings early on, and then I just got too busy with school board stuff and now fire department stuff. I just don't have the bandwidth, but I believe in the work that Woody Bernhardt's group is doing. And Jimmy, you were at a couple of those meetings early on. Are you still involved?
No.
Okay, so I'm not criticizing, but it seems like they've got some nuts and bolts about democracy in action that, maybe it doesn't need to be a town referendum they need. Maybe it's just a survey monkey. Tell us what you think. It could be really simple. We don't need to all come together. Having a meeting and discussing is great, but if he needs some data points to take to the feds or take to our legislators, you can start simple, but for us to talk about it, to your point, it needs to go somewhere. You need to do something with it. And I don't know what Woody's doing, but it just seems like there is an organization here in town. The interest is here. I don't have the bandwidth to take it on, but it's a great idea, but we can't just talk about it. Somebody needs to go to the next step. And it could start with a simple survey monkey to find out what people think about X.
Jim?
I apologize for speaking again. I hear what you're saying exactly, and it sort of makes what I intuitively feel is the primary point. Woody's group is great, and I love going to the talks. I go down to Brattleboro every day and stand with a sign on the side of the road. I write letters, I go do everything I can do.
Thank you.
But it's just me
Yep.
and the group that's
And
there.
Nancy's group.
And it's all good, and it's all what we need to do. But this is the forum where the town, which has a much elevated voice over me or Woody or anybody else, by taking a popular vote on a question, sends the voice of a township, which is more powerful than any individual group is going to be, whether it's the ACLU or the Quakers. This is the thing that makes us powerful, is that we are a collective of disparate people with disparate points of view. Our voice in vote is what gives us power. And so I don't know any other format that has what we potentially have as a town or a state making a statement or a county. It takes the collective voice through a preponderance type of vote to have power. I think we have something that only we have within the framework of our town government.
Just from and if I mispronounce the name, I'm sorry, Kalia. I am grateful for this conversation and deeply appreciate Jimmy speaking up. As Peggy said, not speaking up is being complicit. Sorry I'm unable to be present in person today. Thank you for ensuring the spirit of town meeting and democracy lives on.
Can I just, I'm a town employee, town officer. I am, for full disclosure, I am a resident of West Brattleboro, but and this really doesn't apply to Marlboro. All I would say is to people who say, "What can we do? What's our best course of action?" We have an incredibly important election coming up this November. And if Woody's group wants to grab hold of this, someone else's group wants to grab hold of it. Last, in November 2024, I spent 6 hours phoning people in Pennsylvania and sending postcards to people in Arizona. And that is something that as individuals you can do, but also it becomes a collective. Send out, organizations all over the country, Democracy Watch, anyway, there's a ton of them. They will send you postcards to just address and stamp and mail. And I would urge, I'm going to do it again this November. For this, it's, starting in September, that's the grassroots, and I'm not going to weigh in on the overall issue because I'm not a resident, so I don't feel it's appropriate for me to do that. But I think as a group of people who care, obviously, you're here on Zoom, get active in that way. I grew up in New York City politics. You want to talk rough and tumble, but stuff even in New York City, 8 million people, you get people writing, sending postcards and stuff like that, and things. It's a very powerful tool. We have 3 great federal representatives, Bernie, Peter Welsh, and Becca Balint, who I think is one of the superstars these days. Try and watch her in Congress. She's unbelievable, and she's accessible to all of us. I've called her office a couple of times. I've called Bernie's office a couple of times. And I actually sent Bernie's assistant an email thinking I was sending it to someone else, and she wrote back, "Oh, that's fine, don't worry. If you need anything, call me." So we have some great, we're only 650,000 people in Vermont, which means we have great access to our federal representatives. And I've found they're very responsive. So I just urge everyone to take that little piece of, grassroots and become a large collective. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
Not as a substitute for a town.
But
just something to do, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just talking in terms of, in general, I just, as I said.
So, I'd like to, just suggest that we put some thought into this. This is the culmination of these meetings. When we get done with Tuesday, maybe some folks could come to a select board meeting and talk about how to get something rolling.
Don't come on the 12th, we're really full already.
But
of course you can, if you want.
Just to support the idea of getting together for discussion. This is an opportunity here, and I don't really want to wait till September.
Oh, I was just talking about the election.
No. In terms of, we said we would do X number of info meetings, and sometimes I feel like it's a waste of time. Sometimes I think it's great, but after this conversation, I think it's really important to find a way without crossing the line into, putting Forrest into a tough position, fighting off the legal situations or whatever. Find a way, how hard would it be to put together a list of 12 things to vote on, and just do it, and people count. It wouldn't be the government, it wouldn't be us, it wouldn't be Forrest. but it would be whatever this group was. And then that stuff could be tallied, and then some people could get together and figure out what's the best way to do this. But in the meantime, people would have a chance to get together and talk. And if it's the select board that needs to organize that and host it, I would probably be willing to put even more time into this project.
Thank you, Molly.
So I think, thank you so much. I mean, I was really upset when I came here today, but I feel better now.
As we're getting near the end, anyone on Zoom have anything they want to add? Just unmute yourself and have your say. Okay.
Okay, so on your way out, I saw a lot of people didn't sign in. We'd really love to have you sign in. And I think the email, you want email on that sign in or just the names? Be interesting to know. I don't know everybody.
Oh, I think I put your email down. Some people do, some people don't. I'm not a stickler.
Okay, so if it's all right with everybody, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Any other business?
Thank you, Molly.
You're welcome. Okay,
Thank you all.
I'd like to join this meeting at 3:35.
Thank you.